drink! Web fluid, my children. We have seen some heroes go up against the Count a few times now. Doctor Strange, Batman. Perhaps it's time for a friendly neighborhood wall crawler to have his turn.
It seems his poor Aunt May is coming down with the flu, a new strain that is resistant to the medications prescribed. A new vaccine is being sent to the city to help with the epidemic that is spreading.
Although since vaccines are designed to help prevent someone from getting it and are not actually a cure, I'm not sure how that will be helpful.
But its creator is an eccentric who refuses to fly, taking a boat to New York to deliver the vaccine. The doctor suspects Aunt May won't survive by the time they arrive. He goes to the Fantastic Four, and in particular Johnny Storm, for help, hoping that they can get him transportation to the boat to get the vaccine. And indeed, he supplies it. A new Fantastic Four jet that allows him to speed to the ocean liner that the vaccine's creator, A.J. Maxfield, is traveling aboard.
So the story was about Dracula fighting him, wasn't it?
And indeed, Dracula arrives in bat form, seeking out Maxfield to kill him for his medications. Two men dressed as tin soldiers, because there is a masquerade, confront Dracula over clearly not belonging on the boat, and he hypnotizes them so they jump overboard to their doom. He claims another victim, a girl, for some blood, but Peter Parker soon finds the girl and takes her to the medical bay. Maxfield, being a doctor, is called in to look her over, but it seems Dracula and Peter are not the only ones looking for him, because a gangster storms in and takes Maxfield hostage for some boss of his. Spider-Man disposes of the gangster while Maxfield runs off, trying to find some help. The gangster's boss finds him first and tries to lure Maxfield away from the party, but Dracula spots them and pursues. The gangster stabs at Dracula to try to discourage him, but of course the Count is immune to such crude methods of death. No, instead the Lord of Darkness deals with the assassin and chucks Maxfield overboard. Right onto Spider-Man. He brings Maxfield back up, but still has to deal with another of the gangster's goons, who was hypnotized by Dracula to believe monsters were all around him. Spider-Man deals with him quickly, only to learn that the man he was helping was not Maxfield, but the ship's doctor. No, Maxfield was instead this blonde bombshell, who travels incognito since, well, let's face it, she attracts attention, especially when dressed up like a Viking. But Spidey explains the situation and gets her to New York. And Dracula flies off.
Dracula flies off, having never fought Spider-Man, in a book called Spider-Man vs. Dracula.
Apparently, the story was originally published in Giant Size Spider-Man #1, which was conceived of to cash in on the popularity of the Marvel Team-Up series. Fortunately, irritated as I am by the lack of fighting between the two, the creators wisely included two Comics Code vampire stories with it. First up, Vampire at the Window. A man named Reginald Rudley encounters a vampire floating outside his window one night, fleeing to a private eye for help. Instead of the police for some reason, he insists the detective come back with him to stop the vampire. While they don't believe him, they humor the man and indeed encounter the vampire. Rudley insists the detective do something, and he says he will, after the vampire finishes with him. After all, that vampire found him first, so he gets to drink his blood first. And then there's I Was a Vampire, wherein a bloodsucker named Kronin rises from his coffin to stalk a woman at night, with his very tiny bat wings on his back, but a policeman helps her on her way before he can strike. The longer he looks at her, the more he would like to be with her and not try to kill her. Knowing that he cannot be with her in his current state, he looks up a doctor who has claimed to have a cure for vampirism. Unfortunately, the doctor says he cannot provide it, since it takes 6 months to produce, and he only has so much of it at the moment. Desperate for the cure, Kronin kills him and downs the flask of serum, becoming human again. He quickly courts the woman, dating her for a few nights, before they quickly get married. However, when they go off to a resort by the sea, she reveals the truth about herself. That she is a vampire, and is not interested in the wine he has brought for the honeymoon.
While Spider-Man vs. Dracula was quite disappointing, the same cannot be said for the older vampire stories. And hey, at least in those ones, the vampires do indeed win.